I've lived in this building for 5 years. Only yesterday did I figure out that between the 6th and 8th floors, there's nothing. I mean nothing except a blank wall. But every night at 3:15 a.m., I hear footsteps. They echo above my ceiling. I live on the 6th floor. Above me should be the 7th, but in the elevator after 6 comes 8. And from the street, there are no windows at that level. Yet today I went up to the roof and measured the building's height. The gap between the 6th floor windows and the 8th floor windows is exactly 10 feet. Something is in there, and it wants me to know about it. I always thought our building just had weird numbering. 9 stories, but no 7th. In the elevator, the buttons go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then straight to 8, 9. I asked the neighbors. They shrugged. The developer cut corners on signs, or architectural glitch. I accepted it, like everyone else, like you would have. But there's one thing I can't explain. The footsteps. Every night at 3:15, someone walks above my ceiling, back and forth. 10 steps one way, 10 steps the other. I measured. I recorded it. I checked. It's not the neighbors on the 8th floor. First, the 8th floor neighbors are an elderly couple who go to bed at 9 and never walk around at night. Second, the footsteps are muffled, heavy, metallic, as if someone's walking down an empty concrete corridor. And most importantly, between me and the 8th floor there's a gap. 10 feet of emptiness. And that emptiness walks at night. I started my investigation with the fire evacuation plan. It hangs on the 1st floor by the mailboxes. The plan shows 9 floors, but the 7th is grayed out. Just a rectangle with no windows, no doors, no markings at all. I asked the concierge what's there. He stared at me for a long moment, then said, "Nothing's there. Technical space. Don't go there." The concierge's name is Igor. He's worked in this building for 20 years. I noticed his hand trembling when he answered. He knows more. I decided to find out what. First step, measure the building. I went outside with a tape measure and a laser rangefinder. I stood across from the facade and started counting. Distance from the ground to the 6th floor windows, 52 feet. To the 8th floor windows, 62 feet. Between them, 10 feet. That's a full floor, not a technical void. But there are no windows at the 7th floor level. None. The facade is solid, clad in panels, without a single gap. I walked around the entire building. On every side, a blank wall at the 7th floor level. Except for one spot. In the back courtyard, near the dumpsters, I spotted a ventilation grill. It was at about the height of the 7th floor. But the strangest thing, it was clean. No dust, no rust. Somebody uses it. I went back inside. I decided to check the stairwell. I climbed to the 6th floor, then tried to go higher toward the roof door. The flight of stairs between the 6th and 8th floors was much longer than between the other floors. I counted the steps. Between each normal floor, 18 steps. Between the 6th and 8th, 36. Exactly double. So the 7th floor does exist. It's just hidden. Instead of a door, there's a blank wall painted the same color as the rest. I knocked on it. The sound was hollow, not concrete. Drywall. Behind it, emptiness. I decided to wait. The next night at 3:15 a.m., I wasn't lying in bed anymore. I stood on the stairwell, pressed against the drywall at the 7th floor level. The footsteps began. They were clear, heavy, metallic. Someone was walking inside that hidden corridor. I heard them through the wall. I recorded the audio on my phone. Then, when the footsteps stopped, I called the elevator. I got into the cabin and started pressing buttons in different sequences. I remembered that the concierge, Igor, once entered the elevator and pressed some kind of combination. I tried 6 and 8 at the same time, holding the door close button, dialing 7. Nothing worked. But on one attempt, when I pressed 6 and held it for 5 seconds, then pressed 8, the elevator suddenly went down, not up, to the basement. The doors opened. In front of me was a long corridor lit by dim bulbs. It smelled of antiseptic. No signs on the walls. I took a few steps. The corridor ended at a heavy door with a keypad lock. But the lock was open. I pushed the door. Behind it were stairs. Long, steep, unlit. I climbed. The stairs led to another door. I opened it and found myself inside the space. The 7th floor. I was standing inside it. It wasn't a technical void. It was a residential floor, but not like the others. The hallway was narrow, windowless, lit only by emergency lights. Along both sides, doors. Many doors. All closed. On each door, a number. I approached the nearest one, S7-01. Next, S7-02. S7-03. I counted 12 doors. 12 apartments on a floor that officially doesn't exist. I pressed my ear to one door. Silence. Another silence. A third silence. And then suddenly I heard a sound. Not footsteps. Breathing. Someone was standing on the other side of the door. Breathing. I jerked back. Took a step backward. And at that moment, all the doors opened simultaneously. From the 12 apartments, people emerged. They were identically dressed. Gray coveralls with no markings. All had the same expression. Calm, almost drowsy. They formed a neat line in the hallway. And then, from the last door, S7-12, Igor stepped out. The concierge. He looked at me without surprise. He said, "You found it after all. I knew someone would someday." I asked, "Who are these people?" Igor didn't answer right away. He walked along the line, looking at each one as if checking them. Then he stopped and said, "These are the disappeared, the ones they search for outside, the ones who no longer exist in any database. They're here. They've been living here for 20 years. I stared at the faces and suddenly recognized one of them. A woman, about 40, short hair. I'd seen her photo 2 years ago on a pole near our building. There was a flyer, missing. At the time I thought, strange that they hung it right next to our entrance. Now I was looking at her. She stood 3 feet away, alive, but her eyes were empty. I asked, "Why are they here? Who's keeping them?" Igor looked at me with tired eyes. "No one's keeping them. They come on their own. They're given a choice. Disappear from the world or disappear from the world. They choose this floor. Here there are no names, no documents, no past. They simply stop being." I stepped back. "What about the footsteps? Every night at 3:15. Igor sighed. "That's the check. They march in a circle to remember they still exist. They need rhythm. Without rhythm, they forget how to move, how to breathe." I stared at the line of 12 people nobody was looking for anymore. Who organized this? The government? Igor shook his head. No. Ordinary people. Those who realized that disappearing is the only way to survive. The program is called the 7th floor. It operates in every city, in every building where you see a gap in the numbering. I remembered, in the neighboring district there was a building with no 4th floor. Downtown, one with no 13th floor. I always thought it was superstition, but it wasn't. They were sanctuaries for the disappeared. Igor held out a key. "Apartment A7-13. It's waiting for you." I took the key. It was cold. "And if I don't want it?" I asked. Igor looked at me with a long gaze. "You're already here. You already know. There's no way back. But you can choose. Return to a world where you'll be hunted for what you know, or stay here. Here you're safe. Here they won't find you." I stood there looking at the key. And then I remembered the footsteps. The rhythm. 10 steps there, 10 steps back. Maybe it wasn't so bad having a rhythm. I closed my hand around the key and went to find my door.